Diagon Alley, London, 996 AD. A small breeze picked up some refuse littering the street along Diagon Alley. The breeze picked up suddenly as a large, blue box materialized next to a building. Most of the wizards and witches walking down the street paid no attention to its sudden appearance or the odd noises accompanying it. The travelers exited the TARDIS, and the Doctor took in a deep breath of the much cleaner air. "Welcome to 996 AD, he exclaimed. "Have a look around while I lock up," he suggested and turned to lock the TARDIS doors. When he was done, he turned around holding his arms up, bent at the elbows, and did a little dance. "Right. First off, we need to find Gringotts," he told them.
Okay, we could always start with that huge building over there with the big Gringotts sign out front.
Hermione teased and pointed down the street. She noted that it was in the same location it had been in 1996. The Doctor looked over to where Hermione was pointing. "Yes, well, I was checking to see how good your observation skills were." "Good job, you passed," he lied. Hermione chuckled and put her arm through his as she led him to Gringotts. After they passed through the heavy iron doors, the travelers walked down the polished marble floor toward a goblin at a raised desk. The goblin was making notes in a ledger and purposely ignoring the humans. When he sensed that they hadn't taken the hint, he gave out a weary sigh and looked up from his ledger. Who he saw made him fall out of his chair and go running off to find the manager. Shortly after, a second goblin returned, this one wearing a gold-lined robe.
"How can we at Gringotts be of service to you, my lord?"
he asked the Doctor, bowing slightly. "What are your current interest rates on a savings account?" the Doctor inquired. The goblin manager sighed.
"It will take us all a bit to recover so soon after the Ogre Wars, not to mention the turmoil the Muggles are causing. I'm afraid I can only give you 1.5% compounded annually," he replied. "Most people are only getting 1%, but since it's you, my lord, we can offer the extra 0.5%, he said warmly.
The Doctor did a quick calculation and shrugged. "I suppose that will do. I really never have been good with money," he stated. "I would like the account to be anonymous, and only available to those who have the proper password," he requested.
"They'll also have to be in possession of the vault key,"
the goblin manager explained to the Doctor. The Doctor smiled and handed over the 5 galleons. "Even better," he told the goblin. He leaned over and whispered the word he wanted to use as a password. The goblin manager raised an eyebrow and swept the gold coins off the desk.
"As you say, my lord,"
he said formally. He reached into a drawer underneath his desk and pulled out a small bronze key engraved with goblin numerals.
"Here is your key, my lord,"
he offered. "Thank you," the Doctor replied. He pocketed the key and led the others out of the bank. Turning to face Hermione, he did the calculations again in his head. Well, let's see. 5 galleons at 1.5% interest for 1,000 years, compounded annually, is 14,622,184 galleons. Is that a lot of money? I can never tell, he wondered aloud. Ginny punched her dad in the arm playfully.
"That's cheating. You know that, right?"
she asked him sarcastically. She wasn't about to make him get the money back. "I said I was going to break a few rules," the Doctor reminded them. "Besides, what are rules for if you aren't supposed to break them now and again?" he inquired. Hermione laughed at the Doctor's attitude. She thought he would have made a perfect marauder. Judging from Harry's grin, he thought so as well. Harry's grin slipped a little and he sighed deeply. It was a nice thought, but the Weasleys won't ever accept money given to them. I know. I've tried loads of times," he explained. The Doctor's grin made him look like a schoolboy. "That's what's so clever about this. I used Arthur's own money to make the investment," he pointed out. "Besides, I don't plan on telling him how much is in the vault until after he takes the key," he told them. Ginny leaned over and kissed her father's cheek. Hermione, who thought of the Weasleys as her second family, kissed his other cheek. "Since we have a time machine, I suppose we have plenty of time to do some exploring while we're here," he announced.
"Yes!"
Hermione exclaimed happily. She dragged Ginny with her as she raced across the street to look at a clothing store. Hermione was fascinated with how intricate the embroidery was on the gowns of this time period. Harry smiled at his girlfriend and his best friend's antics. I guess some things are universal, he chuckled to himself while he watched the girls run their hands over the dresses they found. He was focused on them and didn't see the man with flaming red hair and the build reminiscent of a bear rushing towards him. Harry found himself caught up in the man's arms in a hug worthy of Hagrid before he could react. Sir Harry! Welcome back! The man bellowed.
Let him down, Godric. He can't breathe.
A dark-haired woman standing a little ways off told her friend, merriment in her voice. She was dressed in a long, flowing blue robe and had eyes that spoke of great intelligence. When Godric complied, she closed the distance and also hugged the dazed Harry.
It is good to see you again,
she told him. She was pushed playfully out of the way by a shorter, stouter woman with red hair wearing a yellow and red gown. The second woman tousled Harry's unruly hair.
Welcome back, old friend,
she said, and also gave Harry a hug. Hermione and Ginny turned to see what the commotion was. They froze and their mouths hung open in shock at what they were witnessing. They recognized the people from their paintings, as well as their descriptions in Hogwarts, a History. Harry was being hugged by 3 out of the 4 founders of Hogwarts, Godric Gryffindor, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Helga Hufflepuff. The doctor walked over to where Harry was to see what was going on. Rowena looked over Harry's shoulder and saw him approaching. She took a step backwards and performed a very low curtsy. Helga saw what she was doing and leaned to the side to look around Harry. She gasped when she saw the doctor and immediately followed Rowena's example. Godric stepped around Harry and took 2 large steps forward so he was standing right in front of the doctor. He went to one knee and bowed his head, his arm over his chest in a Roman-style salute. "My lord," he said humbly. In a show of mischief that would be handed down through his house for ages, Godric looked up at the doctor, his eyes crinkling while he smiled. "I should have guessed that if Sir Harry showed up, you wouldn't be far off, Lord Merlin," he chuckled.